The physics of a flat Earth wouldn't be pleasant. What if the flat earthers were right and the Earth was, in fact, flat? How would gravity work? Would we still have time zones? Change of seasons? Would the conditions for life here on Earth exist at all? First of all, forget about walking to its edge. Gravity would simply not let you. Wait, would gravity even be possible on a flat Earth? The answer is yes, of course. The force of gravity is what keeps our planet, or any other planet, together. It what forms a planet in the first place. In the case of a pancake-shaped Earth, the force of gravity would pull you to the center, and would become stronger as you try to walk away from it, pulling the top of your body backwards. It would feel as if you were climbing a hill that was getting steeper, and steeper, and steeper. By the time you reached the edge, on and behind you would become the same direction. Sound weird? How about water being sucked to the center of the Earth? Or diagonal trees, growing in the opposite direction of gravity pull? And then there's the sun. How would a flat Earth behave in space? One flat Earth theory is that the sun revolves around the Earth, not the other way around. What if the sun orbited the Earth just like the moon does? In that case, you would never suffer jet lag, as there would be no such thing as time zones. The sun would light up both the top and bottom of the planet. This would mean constant light, no day and night cycle. Also no seasons or solar eclipses. The sun itself would have to be much smaller. Otherwise it would burn the Earth to a crisp. It would probably fry the planet anyway, as there would be no geomagnetic field to protect the Earth from its radiation. The geomagnetic field is generated in the solid core of the Earth, and keeps our atmosphere from escaping. Without it, cosmic rays would bombard our bodies, causing everything from cancer to DNA damage. The oceans would escape into space, and so would the air, and all our oxygen. But let's assume that a flat Earth had an alternative to our magnetic field. This way you still be alive to notice some strange flat Earth effects. Like your shadow. Say you had a friend just as tall as you, and they lived 1,000 miles away. On a sunny day, your shadows would be the very same length. Because, unlike here on a spherical Earth, the sun rays would hit both of you at the same angle. And if you two were to meet up, traveling would turn out very different. Let's take a map introduced by the Flat Earth Society. Yes, the one that shows the Arctic at the center, and Antarctica as in sea all around the edges. In such a world, it would take you 32 hours to fly from Australia to some parts of South America. Did we mention there'd be no GPS? Satellites would and be able to orbit a flat Earth, leaving humanity with no navigation, and no synchronized time. This means no ATMs, no credit cards, and no high-speed market transactions. On the bright side, with a good pair of binoculars you could see Dubai Burj Khalifa from any part of the flat world. But let's be honest, you don't need to build your own rocket to see the Earth is not flat. The evidence is all around us. The Flat Earth Society is a group actively promoting the Flat Earth movement worldwide. Descending from Samuel Shenton's International Flat Earth Research Society, and the Universal Zetetic Society before it, we continue the age-old tradition of questioning the round Earth doctrine and challenging authorities. Acknowledging the link between various unconventional beliefs, the Society also occasionally engages in other controversial debates, striving to provide a voice for all freethinkers and zeticists. What do all of these acronyms mean? Here is a link to Flat Earth terminology. What evidence do you have? The evidence for a flat Earth is derived from many different facets of science and philosophy. The simplest is by relying on one's own senses to discern the true nature of the world around us. The world looks flat, the bottoms of clouds are flat, the movement of the sun. These are all examples of your senses telling you that we do not live on a spherical heliocentric world. This is using what's called an empirical approach, or an approach that relies on information from your senses. Alternatively, when using Descartes' method of Cartesian doubt to skeptically view the world around us, one quickly finds that the notion of a spherical world is the theory which has the burden of proof and not flat earth theory. Perhaps the best example of flat earth proof is the Bedford Level experiment. In short, this was an experiment performed many times on a 6-mile stretch of water that proved the surface of the water to be flat. It did not conform to the curvature of the Earth that round Earth proponents teach. Many other experiments demonstrating the lack of curvature in the Earth may be found in Earth Not a Globe by Samuel Robotham, as well as in the experimental evidence section of this wiki. Is flat Earth theory connected to a religion? Flat Earth theory is neither officially nor unofficially associated with any religion. Throughout the ages, various religious institutions have championed a flat Earth model for the world. Unfortunately, this leaves us with the vestigial thought that flat Earth theory and religions are symbiotic. They are not, even though many religions today, both mainstream and otherwise, still teach its followers that the world is flat. While they are not incorrect, believing in a flat Earth isn't contingent upon believing in a deity or being a part of any religion. People have been into space. How have they not discovered that the Earth is flat? The most commonly accepted explanation of this is that the space agencies of the world are involved in a conspiracy faking space travel and exploration. This likely began during the Cold War space race, in which the USSR and USA were obsessed with beating each other into space to the point that each faked their accomplishments in an attempt to keep pace with the other's supposed achievements. Since the end of the Cold War, however, the conspiracy is most likely motivated by greed rather than political gains, and using only some of their funding to continue to fake space travel saves a lot of money to embezzle for themselves. In light of the above, please note that we are not suggesting that space agencies are aware that the Earth is flat and actively covering the fact up. They depict the Earth as being round simply because that is what they expect it to be. There are many pictures on the internet and in other media depicting the Earth as being round. Why do these not disprove the flat Earth theory? In general, we at the Flat Earth Society do not lend much credibility to photographic evidence. It is too easily manipulated and altered. Many of the videos posted here to prove a round Earth by showing curvature will show no curvature or even concave curvature at parts. The sources are so inaccurate it's difficult to build an argument on them in either case. Furthermore, barrel distortion and other quirks of modern cameras will cause a picture to distort in ways which may not be immediately obvious or apparent, especially without references within the picture. Photographs are also prone to distortion when taken through the bent glass of a pressurized cabin as well as atmospheric conditions on the outside. With this litany of problems, it's easy to see why photographic evidence is not to be trusted. It's also worth noting that if a person were to look down at the Earth from high above, they would expect to see a circular shape where the sun's spotlight was shining. This explains why high-altitude photographs are generally curved to produce the illusion of a round horizon. How the internet made us believe in a flat Earth. The Earth is a sphere, or rather, an oblate spheroid. A horrible, horrible oblate spheroid. It would be so much better if it were flat. For one, there'd be no pesky lunar eclipses without the Earth's terribly round shadow to obscure an otherwise perfect view of our one and only moon. Even better, All the stars in the sky would be in perfect view every single night, unblocked by the loathsome horizon of a miserably spherical world. And, as any cartographer knows, a flat Earth would be so much easier to render on a two-dimensional map. But, unfortunately, the Earth is not flat. And yet, contrary to all scientific evidence, there are people who believe the Earth is flat. They even have their own club, the Flat Earth Society. And its support is growing and counts NBA stars and reality show celebrities among its followers. In the 1990s, the Flat Earth Society was bankrupt and all but dead. Then the internet happened, and it made people want to believe in a flat Earth again. The first photographs of Earth from more than 100 miles in space. The US military took them in 1947 using a V-2 rocket captured from the German Wehrmacht. It was one of the first times we really saw the Earth from a distance. And it was clearly round. Less than a decade later, the Flat Earth Society convened for the first time and espoused a view of the planet that didn't fit with the new images being sent from space and that had already been rejected by much of the scientific community for nearly half a millennia. According to the Flat Earth Society ideas, the Earth was a flat disk with the Arctic at its center and a towering wall of ice all along its circumference. The Sun, Moon, and stars, they said, were no further away than New York is from London. They also asserted that everything NASA was showing us was an elaborate deception. Shortly after the first men walked on the moon, the original founder of the Flat Earth Society died. A small but dedicated fan base kept his work alive and continued the circulation of a Flat Earth newsletter. Over the years, the society slowly grew and spread, eventually garnering a subscribership of around 3,500 flat earthers in the 1990s. But in 1997, a house fire destroyed the Flat Earth Society library and membership roster. Unable to collect dues, the Flat Earth Society fell into deep financial trouble. The last organizers died a short time later, and the Flat Earth Society might have died right along with them if not for the internet. In 2004, the Flat Earth Society returned as an online discussion forum. Anybody with an interest in flat Earth theories and an internet connection could post questions or start topics of conversation or share flat Earth links and resources. But most of all, they could connect with fellow flat earthers. It in the best interest of social media networks to encourage their users to keep posting content to the platform, no matter how dubious it might be. Coincidentally, 2004 was the same year Facebook was created. YouTube launched a year later. Then Twitter. By the time the Flat Earth Society had its own website in 2009, social media had already begun to dominate the online landscape. Internet users today spend about 22% of their time online on social media networks. For many, social media is the internet. From specialty cars to artisanal cooking to niche films to online sewing circles, social media offers a group for everyone. Even flat earthers. Before the advent of the internet, it took 50 years for the Flat Earth Society to reach 3,500 members. Their website now gets over 300,000 unique visits every day. There are Flat Earth Facebook pages with over 100,000 likes. Flat Earth YouTube videos with millions of views. And an untold number of Twitter users and subreddits and discussion forums and online chat rooms dedicated to the dissemination of flat Earth theories. With a potential audience of billions, social media can give somebody in their basement the same reach as a traditional television studio. Distribution is as easy as a few clicks and uploads. Social media has essentially leveled our flattened media landscape, so to speak. User-generated content is the lifeblood of social media. If it weren't for status updates, tweets, and video uploads, social media feeds would be empty. It in the best interest of social media networks to encourage their users to keep posting content to the platform, no matter how dubious it might be, not just flat earth theories but everything from UFO cover-ups to anti-vaccination campaigns to Pizzagate to the infiltration of the government by reptilian humanoids. But it's interesting to note that metrics for the search term flat earth have shot up over the last few years. In a 2018 YouGov poll, 1/3 of millennials surveyed said they weren't totally convinced the world was round, even though we had half a millennia of scientific consensus on the subject. Just a little bit of attention that been given to the idea of a flat earth, even though it verifiably false, as increased interest in the subject. And it especially effective when famous people are involved. In 2017, NBA star Kyrie Irving went on a podcast and claimed the earth was flat. Twice. Being a professional sports star, he held the attention of millions of followers. In social media parlance, he an influencer. Despite eventually disavowing the belief, Irving spurred on an untold number of people in thinking the world is flat. Thanks to him, classes of middle school students had begun to embrace the theory. Social media is and really the problem human behavior is. Social media just acts as a magnifier. What does the earth look like? How is circumnavigation possible? As seen in the diagrams above, the earth is in the form of a disk with the North Pole in the center and Antarctica as a wall around the edge. This is the generally accepted model among members of the society. In this model, circumnavigation is performed by moving in a great circle around the North Pole. The Earth is surrounded on all sides by an ice wall that holds the oceans back. This ice wall is what explorers have named Antarctica. Beyond the ice wall is a topic of great interest to the Flat Earth Society. To our knowledge, no one has been very far past the ice wall and returned to tell of their journey. What we do know is that it encircles the Earth and serves to hold in our oceans and helps protect us from whatever lies beyond. Day and night cycles are easily explained on a flat Earth. The sun moves in circles around the North Pole. When it is over your head, it's day. When it's not, it's night. The light of the sun is confined to a limited area and its light acts like a spotlight upon the Earth. The picture below illustrates how the sun moves and also how seasons work on a flat Earth. The apparent effect of the sun rising and setting is usually explained as a perspective effect. When the sun is further away from the North Pole, it's winter in the northern hemisphere and summer in the south. How is there a magnetic field? Magnets can be unipolar. While it's true that unipolar magnets can't exist, this isn't a problem for the flat Earth. This is because ring magnets, which are shaped like you guessed it, a flat disk, are capable of having radial magnetization. In a radial magnet, one magnetic pole is at the center and other is at all points on the edge of the magnet. A magnet like this can be found in loudspeakers, and perfectly replicates what is found on the Earth. As a passenger on an aircraft, how is it I can see the curvature of the Earth? Quite simply, you cannot. It is widely stated you would need to be at a height of at least 40,000 feet to get even a hint of curvature if Earth were round. Commercial aircraft are not allowed to fly this high. They are only allowed to fly just under this altitude. 36,000 feet might be typical. In addition, the windows on commercial aircraft are small and heavily curved. Even if they flew high enough for a person to see curvature, it would still not be visible to passengers. How is weather created in FET? Many weather patterns are actually created by the land itself. For example, rain shadow. Rain shadow is where somewhere on the eastern side of a mountain range, because weather clouds travel from the west, generally is deprived of rain not just once, but nearly all the time. This is because the clouds are forced upwards by the mountains blocking their path and become cooler and condense, meaning water droplets form and it rains on before the mountains, thereby not raining on the leeward side. Other weather patterns are created by geographic position, like the tropics being humid. They are surrounded by water which is constantly warmed and evaporated. If the planets are round, why isn't the Earth? Planets from ancient Greek? St. P. A. T. Aster Planetes, wandering star, or just P. A. T. Plan. Tes, wanderer are orbiting astronomical objects. The Earth is not a planet by definition, as it sits at the center of our solar system above which the planets and the Sun revolve. The Earth's uniqueness, fundamental differences and centrality makes any comparison to other nearby celestial bodies insufficient, like comparing basketballs to the court on which they bounce. Why doesn't gravity pull the Earth into a spherical shape? The Earth isn't pulled into a sphere because the force known as gravity exists in a greatly diminished form compared to what is commonly taught. The Earth is constantly accelerating up at a rate of 32 feet per second squared or 9.8 meters per second squared. This constant acceleration causes what you think of as gravity. Imagine sitting in a car that never stops speeding up. You will be forever pushed into your seat. The Earth works much the same way. It is constantly accelerating upwards, being pushed by a universal accelerator UA known as dark energy or etheric wind. There are also other theories of flat Earth thought that maintain that the Earth sits on an infinite plane, with the Sun moving overhead. Gravity works much like it does in a round Earth model, and the Earth will never form into a sphere because the plane is endless. Objects cannot exceed the speed of light. Doesn't this mean that the Earth can't accelerate forever? Due to special relativity, this is not the case. At this point, many readers will question the validity of any answer which uses advanced, intimidating-sounding physics terms to explain a position. However, it is true. The relevant equation is v = tan at c. One will find that in this equation, tan at c can never exceed or equal 1. This means that velocity can never reach the speed of light, regardless of how long one accelerates for and the rate of the acceleration.